Okay, is that it?
You're on.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the West Highland Neighborhood Association meeting. Thank you for coming. First up, we have Officer Anderson, our neighborhood officer. You're first up.
All right. / voter reminder.
Yes.
All right. Hello, West Highlands. It's good to see your faces. I do not have property crime maps this month. Our data analysis had a hiccup, so I don't have any maps for you guys back there like I usually provide. But so I have one crime of opportunity to talk about. What do you think our challenges are when spring comes and summer comes for crimes of opportunity? We have one in particular. Anybody know what that is? There you go! Man, I should have brought some suckers or something. Yes, open garage doors. So, which when people go into your garage uninvited and take something, it's considered a burglary. A lot of people think it's a theft. Well, it's a higher level. It's actually a felony. So it is a burglary when somebody goes in your garage. So we're always telling people, even when you're home, even if you're working in your backyard and your garage faces the front, please, please, please keep your garage doors closed. It takes seconds for people to come down the street looking for opportunities, and we get a lot of stolen bikes, a lot of stolen power tools, some stolen cars, and once in a while they'll go in the house. Typically they're not doing that because people that do that activity don't want to encounter somebody, but please share that message with your friends and family. I'm glad that you had the answer. Garage door thefts. You'll probably see some of our social media postings on that coming up, and some of our signboards and stuff, so we just wanted to share that. I did look at some reports that came through, and just to give you an example, in the Highlands neighborhood, last week we had 4 garage burglaries. So in the West Highlands neighborhood, and they were all open garage doors. So nobody's forcing these doors open, they're not kicking them down. These are people that likely are either walking down the street or driving down the street, just looking for an easy crime of opportunity. So it can easily be avoided, right? So we talk about that. So I thought I'd bring that up instead of passing out the property maps that we don't have. Other thing, I know we have several people from West Highlands that come to our station meetings every month, and we appreciate you coming. Yeah, Jackie, and I know Jerry comes, and yeah, Ray and Pat. I don't see them here tonight, but we get a lot of people. Our next meeting is May 20th, which is a Monday night, third Monday of May at 6 p.m. at our police station at 1311 West 46th Avenue. For those of you who have not attended, Commander Martinez talks about significant police events that have occurred in our district within the last month. We're not going to bore you to death with a ton of stats. He'll talk a little bit about stats, but he doesn't do a lot of that. He just talks about things that people really want to hear about. We'll also let you ask whatever questions you want to bring to the table too, and that's very open. There's no bad questions and no question off limits, so please come. We will have a guest speaker this month. It's going to be Assistant DA from the Denver DA's office to just kind of talk about what the DA does in Denver. We've started having guest speakers every month because we like people to get additional information of what services are available to you as residents of Denver and District 1. So we encourage you to come to that, and we'll give you some snacks and some food while you're there, and some refreshments.
And they're usually done by 7.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had dinner, you can go
Yeah.
and have dinner.
Get a bite to eat. So we'd love to see you there. That's kind of my update. I didn't have a lot to talk about today. I'm sure most of you heard about the unfortunate school shooting today down in Highlands Ranch. Let's say a prayer for those families and those individuals that are affected by that. That's a very distressing issue, so let's just keep them in our prayers. And, any questions for me? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I can't hear you. What was that? Okay, the question was, do our schools have guards? I will tell you that our high schools, all the high schools in Denver have police officers stationed in the high schools, all of them. And a handful of the junior high schools have police officers in them, not all of them. It's that's above my pay grade. I'm sure it's budgeting between the police department and the school district and all that. But those discussions take place regularly, and I'm sure that incident that occurred today are going to reignite those discussions. That was a K through 12 school, so there's kindergartners through 12th grade there in that school, unfortunately. And so those are discussions that are ongoing, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of news on that coming out. So I don't have any of that information. I don't even know if that's been released yet. Okay, and that's probably what everybody was assuming, but I didn't want to speculate on that. I did hear, unfortunately, at least one person did die. So, and that just goes back to, let's be safe and try to do the right thing. It's unfortunate these things happen, but we're doing what we can as a police department, and we're going to respond appropriately and take action as we need to. So, not enough about that, I guess. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Was it small particles of glass? So my guess is that was probably a car window. That's how car windows break when people use a rock or whatever to break them. They do because they're safety, and they break into those tiny pieces. So likely what happened, somebody may have had their car broken into out there. That brings up another crime prevention thing that we talk about because that's our number one crime citywide is cars getting broken into, because it's so easy of a crime to commit when people are looking in car windows and seeing items of value that are on the front seat and the back seat. They just break the window and grab it. Very easy crime to prevent, right? Just put the stuff in the trunk or put it in the house, and hopefully that car won't be targeted. But that would be my guess. I don't know, because I've been in a meeting for an hour before I came over here, so I didn't even have my radio on. But that would be my guess. Hard telling. Yeah. If it's that small particles of glass, odds are it's a window glass from a car. So.
Well, and I was hearing where people are being stopped for putting their garage door all the way down, but they think it's all the way down, and then the burglars have done something to where they can lift it.
I haven't heard that specifically, but that does make sense. If there's a block of wood under there or something, and somebody's pulling out of the garage and just takes off and presses the button and doesn't watch the garage door close all the way. Yeah, I could see that working. So I'm probably a little more cautious than most because I deal with this every day in our district. So whenever I pull out of my garage, I sit on the driveway until it's closed. And I sit there for about 10 seconds to make sure it stays closed, and then I leave. So, but maybe just an extra few seconds can make a difference. And we do have those, people say, "Oh, I thought it was closed." So right. That does happen. So.
Anyone else?
No. All right.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you. I appreciate your attention.
Well, we appreciate you coming.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. Next we have Pastor AJ from the Renewal Church on 32nd and Irving. Thank you, AJ.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie, and thanks, Officer Anderson, for all you and the police department does to keep us safe. So, grateful to be here just to kind of share a little bit of update with what's going on at Renewal. As many of you guys know, we launched the church in September and did a remodel that's now complete. So hopefully everyone appreciates the increased curb appeal at our property at 32nd and Irving. Sorry for the chain link fans, fanatics out there. Those went bye-bye. But, our heart is always to serve the community. If you want to come by and worship with us, it's Sundays at 10 a.m. But truly, our desire is to overflow those walls and make a difference in our community. And to that end, we've had a resource that's been sort of sitting unused. We've had a school, an attached school on our property that has been functioning since like 1909, I think, maybe. Mostly as Emmaus Lutheran School until recently, and then the Highlands Classical Academy. And that building has been sitting vacant, and most days I go to work, and there's a few people throughout the building, but really our heart has been, how can we use this building to serve the community and be a community gathering place of value. And so you may have seen the signs up, but wanted to kind of announce and introduce to you guys that we've decided to partner with a charter school and get them into that school. We think that's going to be a great relationship. The charter school is Boys Denver. It's a middle school, 6th through 8th grade school for young men. And wanted to introduce them to you at this time. And so I'll invite up Carol Bauer, the executive director of the school, to kind of share more about her staff and what they do, but just excited about this new partnership that we have, and she'll tell you a little bit more.
And I will use my teacher voice, if that's okay. And I'm going to bring Dorian Bennett with me. He's our head of school for the boys' school.
Good evening, everyone.
So we have a little handout just for more information around some questions, some things that we've been doing, but wanted to say hello. The Boys School of Denver is part of the Girls Athletic Leadership Schools of Denver organization. Has anybody heard of GALS or GALS Denver? Yeah. Say again?
And a grandson's at Boyd.
Awesome. So you can be our question answerers while you're there.
See your last name, Foster, yes.
Yeah. So GALS Denver was founded in 2010 actually as an all-girls school. And the model of the school has sort of 3 overlapping circles. So powerful academics, movement-based learning. So I am actually in dress code today. Dorian is not in dress code. He was at a different meeting than me. And then we also have a circle called positive gender focus, where we focus on social, emotional, and relational development of adolescents very specifically. So we started with a girls' school, and then we added a girls' high school. And then we said, something's missing. And it was our brother school, the Boys School of Denver. So we opened the boys' school 2 years ago. We've been partnering with Riverside Baptist Church on 23rd and Bryant or Elcott, just north of the football stadium. They've been housing us for a couple years, and we have outgrown them. And in our luck and our blessing, found Pastor AJ and Renewal Church to partner with for at least the next year, maybe a couple years, for the boys' school. So I'll stop there, and I'll have Dorian talk about what the school is on a day-to-day basis, and then we'll talk a little bit about how we partner with community and how we hope to be good neighbors together.
Thank you, Carol. So currently we have about 144 boys. We are a public school. All of our boys are high-standing boys. It is not a boys' school for like an alternative setting. These are boys that are doing excellent work in 5th grade, and they're interested in the boys' school for movement. This is my first year there. As Carol alluded to, we've been around for 2 years. I don't feel like I'm going to work every day. I get to hang out with a group of boys and get to teach them about life. There is some adversity because it's a bunch of boys together, but they get it. We have a brotherhood, and we thrive on Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because we are. We all have a sense of responsibility to make sure that not only do we finish the race, which is we call life, we want to make sure that other people finish the race as well. So we have a responsibility to make sure that other people are doing better in the world. So we have a selfless mentality. Next year we'll have closer to 200 boys in the building, and we're going to be thriving. We've toured over 110 boys at Riverside because of the lateness with signing up with AJ. Our numbers are a little low, but I don't think that that's going to stand pat. I think we're going to grow. The building's a sprawling building. I just drive by every morning before I go to Riverside just to get the feel for the neighborhood. And I'm excited to move forward. I could talk for 30 minutes. I'm not going to do that, just in case you all have questions directly for us.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to say we came here to say hello, to be a part of your community, to say that one of the things that through Ubuntu, I am because we are, is that we teach boys that they are on this earth because of the communities that they are a part of. So one of the big things that we've always done is try and partner with our community or community organizations. We've done different community service projects with our neighbors. We've gone to bring our neighbors gifts on Halloween rather than trick or treat. We've done different things like that, and we look forward to sort of reestablishing ourselves in y'all's neighborhood, in our new neighborhood, so we can really join and be a part of the community. I have two of my board members here. I just want them to wave because you can ask them questions as well. Ethan Hemming and Melissa Kateki Shloti. And Melissa and I have something in common. We're also parents of boys who attend the boys' school. So her 7th grade son, Miguel, and my 7th grade son, Tate, are both at the boys' school together. The other thing we anticipated having questions about was pickup and drop off and what that does to traffic. So we've actually been out to the site quite a few times. We've done some informal studies. I actually have that in this handout of some different studies that we've done, some different data that we have around what it takes for us right now in the morning and in the afternoon. And our whole goal is to minimize impact on the neighborhood and keep students and neighbors safe. So this isn't the first rodeo with pickup and drop off at a school. We've been running schools for about a decade. It is one of the things that we want to talk to our neighbors the most about and be open with the neighbors about, especially as far as questions. So I will not bore you with talking through that, but I do have like a map and some different things that we've looked at. And we hope to probably swing back around a couple weeks into school and say, what does it feel like? How's it going? So we can make sure that we're on the same page.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yes?
Is this just a one-year lease, or do you expect to stay longer?
So, you can pass those out. Right now it's a one-year lease with option to renew. So, and that is primarily done because in the state of Colorado, charter schools can't carry debt for more than a year. So we had to set it up that way. Yeah. Yes?
You may have mentioned this, but I might have missed it. So are you guys completely out of the Riverside location completely then?
We will be.
Okay.
We're there till the end of the school year. So
all your operations will be at renewal?
all our operations will be at renewal. Yep, we'll be completely out of Riverside.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
How many students in the school have, what's the capacity for student capacity?
You know, I don't know that we've done that analysis yet on our end. You know, I can say we'll be pretty full with the students that we're going to have, but we have a little room, a little upper room there.
Yeah.
I hope you have more,
I'm sorry.
I hope you take on more students.
Yeah, we hope that
Yeah,
as well.
we hope that too.
What are the requirements for going to that school?
It's a public school, so you have to be going into 6th or 7th or 8th grade, and you have to be male or identify as a male. Yeah. It's Denver Public Schools.
So the boys are all from Denver?
Mm-hmm. We have a few from like neighboring counties. For sure, we have about 30 elementary schools represented. Because of the unique model of our school, we really pull from all over the city, but we also have a large number of kids from the Northeast as well.
Do you expect people from our neighborhood to enroll there?
We have some enrollees from this neighborhood, and because Denver is a choice-based school district, we think some people might say, oh, it's close, or it's the right model for me, and they'll enroll, and some people might stay at their neighborhood schools. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So we don't have buses. So we have primarily carpools. About 55 to 60% of our kids ride in carpools. And we also have a number of students from the neighborhood currently who walk, ride a scooter, or ride a bike. So I think we put it in there at the morning drop-off actually runs pretty quickly because people come at different times. So at most there's 5 or 6 cars lined up at any given time. We've mapped out how we want to use the parking lot to make sure that to alleviate that, especially from that 32nd and Irving, and that 32nd and Spear is a little tight. Yeah, so that's all in there that we can. Yes, sir.
So you speak about it's going to be 20 to 30 minutes, but you don't state a time. What exact time would people be coming in and out that would cause traffic issues?
Yep, so the school opens at 7:40. School starts at 8 o'clock. So right now, kids get dropped off starting at around 7:35, 7:40, and then they're done being dropped off at about 8:05. Pickup right now is at 3:45, so we usually have folks start showing up around 3:30, and then they're usually gone by 4:05 at the latest. Yeah. We don't have any dogs at our school, so yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Officer Anderson, do they have DPD approval?
DPD doing what?
Approval.
So, I don't know what our approval process is there. I don't think we get involved in that. I can tell you, though, based on experience with Riverside, we've had no issues with the boys' school. That's a very good school, and yeah, I would agree with what they're presenting, that these are good kids, and very, very, very few issues.
And you know AJ. So.
Yes, I know very.
And you know how to find AJ.
Right. And we also,
They didn't have to get our okay for it.
right.
Yes.
We also have an open door policy, so if you have a wondering about how we do things, we welcome you to come check us out. It's open door policy.
Movement is
Come
from
check us
8 to 8:40 in the morning. Wear your tennis shoes. You can just come join along.
out. Definitely.
That has happened before with some of our neighbors, so, ma'am.
School speed zone, I'm assuming signs will be going up.
There are some signs currently, AJ, do you?
Yeah, there is a school zone,
Are they still up? They never did take them down?
correct, yep.
Are those restrictions going to be while the light is flashing, or is it going to be from 7 in the morning until 6 at night? And
There is no lights, they're just static signs. And I'll have to look at what times they say that the zone is in force and make sure it lines up with your start and times.
Yeah, one of the things we've been in touch with the district and the city know that we're moving, so they know that there may be some signage that they will upgrade before we open in August.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have 32nd Avenue improvements with us. Public Works.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us back again. You may remember that I was here in November at the last election night. So it's kind of nice to keep up that tradition here. You remember last time we came to talk about the project on 32nd Avenue as a whole and where we were at in design. And now we have finished our design and we're moving into construction. So we're back again to update you on the construction that will be taking place this summer and into fall. So the design has not changed at all, and you'll be able to see on the little handout here, what we'll be doing and then how it will mostly look when we finish. I mean, the colors will be slightly different in the real world than they are shown here. But we will have the curb extensions at Tennyson, where we're removing the old signal and emphasizing the stop, rebuilding the curb ramps, and improving the pedestrian environment here as well as the rest of the intersections along the corridor. Perry will also have the curb extensions, the one in concrete on the southwest corner, southwest corner, where we're rebuilding the curb ramps there, And then the remaining corners will be paint and bollards for those curb extensions with the traffic signal removal and the reinforcement of the stop signs. And then Julian will have the rectangular rapid flashing beacon that's pedestrian activated for crossing the street with the medians to help calm traffic through the corridor. And then Irving will also have medians installed as a traffic calming device. And that sums up the design. Chris is here, my coworker, to talk about the construction.
Yeah. So I'm Chris Crook. I'm with Infrastructure Project Management. Emily's team is handing this project over. We had to do this, it's a little bit of a coordination effort in order to meet the street repaving for this year. So basically it's going to be staggered, but we're hoping it'll be a pretty smooth, coordinated effort. The first week or so will be basically in-house traffic signal crews, removing traffic signal equipment, followed by Excel Energy removing the pole and doing some utility relocations. Pretty minor, it's a 2 or 3 day type of job. Following that will be the major civil roadway reconstruction. That's all the curb ramps, bulb outs, and some slight repaving at Tennyson. And that should go from June into July. And then we're hoping to coordinate with the in-house street maintenance operations crews shortly after that to get them in. Either it'll be phased or it'll be the whole corridor from 32nd from Irving to Sheridan. So that'll follow that. And then after street maintenance is done with all the repaving and the pavement's nice and clean, Emily will have a contractor come in and do some of the final striping and some of the medians being put in after that. So it's kind of a coordinated effort here through summer into the early fall, but that should be we're definitely going to be mindful of some of the events. We're hoping, traffic impact should be minimal, just a few days here and there where there would be any type of real rain closure. So I guess with that said, Karen, do you have anything, or do you want to open up to questions?
Hi, I'm Karen Good. I'm the community designer for this district, and we've got probably about a couple minutes for any questions, but just a couple minutes.
How many months are we talking about?
So, Chris, do you mind repeating the questions for us?
Yeah, so how many months are we talking about? So like I said, basically we're going to start at the end of May, and then to have the final striping in, what would you say, Emily? I mean, probably the end of August, September timeline?
Hopefully.
Yeah, so I mean,
Because
that's,
of weather, we can never promise an exact date. But if you look at this, we're saying that it will be complete in fall. So we'll keep you posted if there are any changes to that.
Where are you diverting traffic during this month?
well, again, there shouldn't be any major, the only times there would be any type of significant traffic impacts would be when they're doing the bulb outs, and that would be 1 or 2 days, and like I said, we'll make sure that there's a significant detour plan if needed and everything of that nature. But really, we're not anticipating any like multi-day full lane correction closures.
I think there's a question.
Yeah, 2 questions. One, Irving Street is obviously going to be the new location of the school. With that going to be on there, that's going to be probably a significant issue. Plus, ultimately, what are the purposes of installing these mid-island barriers? That's one of the first things I want to ask. And then the second one being that they are eliminating, obviously, some small parking spots that were available and beneficial for local stores and for local residents. So by installing these, we're now eliminating 4 to 8 spots per block for these concrete street middle barriers being erected. What's the general purpose that's causing us to lose that space?
Yeah, why?
Do you want me to jump in?
That's a great. If you want to go, you can go for it.
So I'll go first.
Are you the one that developed that idea for Irving?
No, so basically, when we do those bump outs, they are a big improvement to pedestrian safety, and they also help support traffic calming, because folks see that the the street is narrower in that area, they slow down a little bit. And so it's something that we've seen across the country. There are lots of studies that show that bulb outs or bump outs, so you can call them, they go by both names, are really beneficial to pedestrian safety and to traffic calming. So that's the reason for those, and the impact to the parking spaces. There are always some give and takes there, but saving somebody's life versus a parking spot is a trade-off that
Irving
seems.
Street has a traffic light, so that's the slowdown for people there, so there is no issue there. And then in the 18, 19 years I've lived here, I can't really recall any quick, issues, accidents, or anything else that have been specific that have caused a real draw for those, for particularly the urban area and for the Julian Street, as far as don't get me wrong, Julian is a bit of a pain because there's no light there, but Irving in particular, they've got a restaurant there, and they've got the school going to be there, and that'll end up causing probably more traffic restriction than benefit because of the loss of the extra space.
Well, something to think about that a lot of folks don't think about with signals. Some people, when they see a yellow light, speed up. Other people slow down. When you see a stop sign, you stop. So there's a bit of a differential with signalized corridors and stop sign, four-way stop sign corridors. So there's just some things to think about.
Light to put in a stop sign?
No, I'm just saying that there's some things to think about when you say that, it's not so cut and dry that a signal is safer than a stop sign and vice versa. They're different. We use them in different areas to control and to balance the traffic and pedestrian movements.
And the overall traffic, you haven't concluded an overall traffic study for the Irving and Julian?
This corridor that we're working in, we've done warrant analysis so that we know what warrants signal versus stop. So that was completed prior to us doing this, and we have cross-checked, and it has not changed.
Okay, so, but basically,
And Emily, do you want to add anything to that? You've actually been working on those warrant analysis.
Yeah, nothing's changed. There's not a whole lot of volume on 32nd Avenue.
Well, I think, just to be clear, the signal's not being removed at Irving.
Right.
We're not
Yeah.
changing the signal.
Irving does have its restaurant there, and it has a very small parking lot back, but it's not meant for the people at the restaurant. It also has an engineering there, which causes a fair amount of traffic on a regular basis, people pulling in and out. The side of the street parking right there makes it a little bit easier for those people who are attending that area, as well as I've heard of no pedestrian accidents right there that cause that issue. Obviously, since it's not a through street, you're right, there's not a lot of heavy traffic on Irving across 32nd. So on that spot, you don't find a lot of people blowing through signs because they're usually making a turn left or right at that point. Then on Julian, the situation is a little bit hairy because there is no, with the exception of a stop sign and the way the cars are parked, you can't get a good view down 32nd either way to be able to determine how far a car is to be able to make a turn. You can see that being a little bit more of an issue. But on the Irving spot, it seems to be additive in case something should ever happen that it might be there versus the practicality of what's going on.
So do you have a question in there that we haven't answered?
Yeah, so what was ultimately the determining factor that determined that Irving needed to have this?
It met warrants, and we look at this corridor as a whole for improving pedestrian and vehicular safety, and this is part of the comprehensive plan to do that. So we looked at all the different intersections and determined where different treatments were appropriate, not appropriate based on the data from warrant studies, traffic studies, all of that.
Excuse me. AJ, who parks in your lot now?
We have a variety of different people that park in our lot, a lot of Orange Theory and restaurant people, as well as a variety of other business users.
They park over in yours?
Yes, that's another point. Before, no one was allowed in that lot. And AJ has opened up his lot there.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the church. So there is more parking now than there used to be.
All right, I was unaware.
Some of that will be changing with the charter school coming in.
Right.
But, you know, we'll
And
obviously.
employees, I mean, a lot of people that were taking up spaces, employees, customers, people from Orange Theory, you know, those places, they're using his lot. So we never had access to that before. Yes.
First of all, just want to thank you for coming. I know these are not necessarily easy meetings to get to, so thank you for coming. And I'm sorry if I'm working off old information. One of the previous meetings, there was talk of limiting some of the turns on Irving. I take it that's not the case, that all turns will be available, it's just the medians will be there.
Yeah, after reviewing it again, we decided not to eliminate any of the turns.
Perfect, thank you.
Let's see, let's go, we're gonna hit folks that haven't already had a chance to ask questions, so creamy yellow.
So how many serious car and pedestrian accidents have there been at the intersection of Irving and 32nd in the 35 years that I've lived there?
I don't know offhand, I don't have the report with
Say
me.
that it's an issue for safety.
Right, so we look,
What has caused the unsafetiness?
so we look at a, oh, sorry, I thought you were finished. So we look at a lot of things. It's not, you know, it's not just whether there's been a conflict there. It's also speeds. It's the number of pedestrians, the number of vehicles. So we take into account a lot of different things. And folks that are in many neighborhoods are asking for stop signs and four-way stops, and they say, does somebody have to die here for this to happen? Well, no. Luckily, they don't. It's not about that. It's looking at all the different data to understand, are there enough pedestrians in the area where we need to improve the opportunity for pedestrian crossings? What are the overlying issues around the corridor? Is it a commercial corridor with a lot of folks that are going in and out of businesses and up and down the corridor? Is there a lot of parking along the corridor where people are moving in and out of vehicles, and or is it a straightaway? There's just a lot of pieces that go into that. So we look at all these different details together. Emily is amazing and, you know, is looking at the accident data. She's looking at the number of traffic, the volumes of traffic, looking at all these different pieces together, looking at the distances between different stop controls. You pull all of that together. It's not that you can look at a single line of report and say, oh, it's just this one thing. It's looking at all the data together and pulling that together and determining, okay, this is what's appropriate for this intersection can be this intersection can be that. It's looking at it more holistically and determining that. So there's not a single point of, oh, well, since there were X accidents, that's a factor, but the number of pedestrians crossing is another factor. So there's a lot of pieces. It's not so cut and dry. And hopefully that answered your question, but I also want to get to stricture.
The things that you're putting in at Irving and Julian, I can't quite picture what it's going to look like. Do you have like a photograph, like an example of a photograph where another intersection needs to be installed? Or if you
We
can tell me that
can-
after the meeting, that's fine.
Yeah, we have installed these in another location in the city, so we can send you pictures that we have.
Oh,
Roger.
sorry, I have one quick follow-up on that one. The rapid flashing beacon installation, does that mean it will only flash when a pedestrian hits the button saying they want to cross?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Roger?
Yeah, that's my next, having to do with my next question, is will that pedestrian button be timed so that
It'll be timed when somebody pushes it, that'll activate it, and it gives.
Immediately? Yes, immediately it will turn on and it'll flash for the entire length that it takes for a pedestrian to cross 32nd Avenue.
Okay, yeah, I hear again, I think this goes against the MUTCD rules. Okay, it says that a traffic control signal should not be installed if it will seriously disrupt aggressive traffic flow. And then there's another one here that says that if it is installed within a signal system, which it is, the traffic control signal should be coordinated. So that should, I mean, I don't care whether a pedestrian goes across the street there, but it shouldn't stop traffic immediately by these rules. Okay? Also, I would like to know that justification for removing these stoplights at Perry and Tennyson, which is, I tell you, I'm so mad about this. How does this improve safety? Removing the traffic lights, even with them as they are right now, blinking red all the time. I think that if those stoplights are removed, it's going to increase accidents at these locations.
So, as some of you may know, we've had quite a discourse, conversation via email on these topics, and we've shared the information that we have to share on that. It seems that you are not in agreement with the research and data that is out there in the field, and I respect that, but I don't think that we can continue answering the same question. We don't have new information for you, and we will follow up on your email from earlier today. We did follow up on your email from yesterday, and we followed up on your Cora request from last week. So I'd like to open it up for other folks that may not have this conversation going. So.
John. Well, I'm not privy to this email, so I would like you to answer this question.
So I did answer it before. It does meet the warrants for that, and the flashing red.
That wasn't my question.
What's the question specifically?
I said, what is the justification for removing the traffic lights at Perry and Tennyson? Is it intended to remove or to improve safety, or is it intended to block future reversion to traffic lights at these locations? Why were the traffic lights left to blink red in 2014?
Sometimes when we transfer from a signal to a stop, always stop, we leave a flashing light in place, and it is typical for us to remove that after a period of time, and that's what we're doing now. That is a standard operating procedure.
Are there any other questions?
Sorry.
Sheila?
So how many parking spaces total are we using in the entire corridor from Sheridan here?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can get that information to you through Trevor. Is that fine?
Stephanie?
Understand.
Stephanie?
Something in the way of a suggestion or request, if you're going to put in four-way stops, this actually goes to this roundabouts up at, on 35th Street. I have pulled up to any number of those, and you've got a four-way stop, and nobody knows whose turn it is. I've been in enough countries that I can't remember whether here would be able to the car on the left, or the one on the right, or who has right of way. Can you label them so it says stop, yield to the car on the left, or is it the right?
It is whoever gets there first.
Yeah, but they all arrive at the same time, and they're sitting there.
That is,
Whose turn is it?
to the best of my knowledge, that is not part of MUTCD, so there isn't a sign that we can put.
It is called rabbit mall. It's the person to the right.
Correct, but what I'm saying is there isn't a approved MUTCD sign that we could put underneath the stop sign. It is something that we could, I'm sure, get language from Denver Police Department and include that in your newsletter, so it could be a nice reminder for folks, hey, this is going in, here's how to operate your vehicle and how to interact with pedestrians at a four-way stop. Pedestrians always have the right-of-way. Doesn't matter if they were there first or not, but they always have the right-of-way, and then you move forward from there. So that could certainly be something we could do.
Okay, I'm thinking of all the people that drive through this neighborhood who don't happen to read the newsletter that we don't have. And, you know, just something on the sign that says yield to car on right.
Right. Unfortunately, that's not part of, that I'm aware of, MUTCD, but that's something we could share with DPD when they come to the different RNO meetings, to please share some information on how to operate your vehicle in a four-way stop.
Jerry?
Right, I'm just saying, we could ask folks to remind.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you guys for taking a look at pedestrian safety and making it better. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. And we'll follow up just to touch base. We do have a couple of different email conversations going on with folks, but in terms of follow-up to Trevor from this meeting, we will provide a image of what that median will look like from where it's installed elsewhere in the city, as well as the number of parking spaces that are impacted. And I think we can break it down in a block by block, because that's what we presented when we were here in, what was that, November? So we can just pull that data and provide that again, and just cross-check that as with the design is progressing.
Are you going to be here for a little while? If people have questions? Okay, they'll be around if you have questions. That we're going to continue the meeting.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, now we have committee updates, design and preservation. Nothing? You're the only one here, you have nothing? Okay. Liquor license? Nope. Social committee? Okay, how about transportation committee?
That was just the last 25 minutes.
Okay, land use and planning, sustainability. Okay, this is the last meeting until September, and we will have summer socials, and we will notify you on the website or next door. So this is it. Thank you all for coming.
Board elections.
Oh, yes, yes.
So once a year, we get to do board elections. So there is a slate of people for the 4 positions of president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer that are your current standing people. We would like to open up the floor if anybody else would like to run for any of those positions and or volunteer as a assistant or get more involved in any other fashion. So if anybody out there wants to get more involved, wants to run for any of the positions, speak up now or forever you're going to get stuck with us for another year. So.
We run now, and there is no real running, it's just
Yes. So hearing none, so the slate that's on there is Jackie to continue as president, myself, Trevor to continue as vice president, Jill to continue as secretary, and Jerry as treasurer. So to make it official, can somebody second it? Second. Thank you. So all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. So look out for the social events. Hope to see you this summer. Have a safe summer, everyone. Thanks. Oh, sorry for... Open forum, thank you.
Oh.
Yep, sure.
Excuse me, Roger. Come on up.
Okay, yeah, thank you, and I'm sorry I've already talked quite a bit, but I wanted to put in my last remarks here on this stoplight or traffic light issue and all the other so-called improvements on 32nd Avenue. Here earlier, I sent an email, I forwarded an email that came from one of our neighbors, Bill Conklin, who I'll read what he wrote. He said, I watched a pedestrian just almost get killed today at 32nd and Tennyson. It is one of the most dangerous intersections in Denver. That was after that I asked the traffic department to run warrants again, because I have a hard time believing that the traffic has not increased more on 32nd Avenue. I still haven't seen the warrants on this, and it was only run for 2 or 3 days. Previously, I think they run for at least a week. And anyway, I don't know. But I just wanted to mention some other things here. Mostly, I want to talk about money. This is one thing that they have not, and this, for my Cora requests here, this is what I was, you know, I mean, it's nice to have all these charts and so on, but they're not telling you how much this costs. This is our taxpayer dollars here we're talking about. And I don't want my taxpayer dollars used for this stuff. Anyway, it's they've already spent for these plans that we've seen here today, $77,000, over $77,000 for that. Okay, for the this estimated so-called short-term intersection improvements, this includes post rubber curbings, preformed thermoplastic pavement markings, and so on. $83,965, almost $84,000 for that. For the bulb outs and the, you know, this is the major thing, which are pretty small, really. That is the big expense here of $461,251. And so the grand total here is $622,264. That does not include the cost of removing the new, and those traffic light poles there at 32nd and Perry and Tennyson are, I think, probably about 10 years old. That traffic lights have been there for decades, but those poles were put up about 10 years ago. They were, and when they put those stop signs in there, they did run a survey from the neighborhood to say, well, did you want these here? And there was less than 40% of the calls that they got on the Tennyson Street light saying that they wanted it. But they didn't advertise that after they put them in. I had to ask for that information to get it. And anyway, I don't think that bulb outs and stop signs are good safety measures, especially for emergency vehicles. How can you get through, especially with stop signs there? And they're not good for bicyclists. It just the whole idea is to narrow the road, make it more difficult to pass through. And then, actually, you know, I mean, the whole thing is that they put these stop signs in and they were against this MUTCD rule that stop and yield signs should not be used to control traffic speed. That's a rule in there. And, you know, I mean, they've ignored this rule all over the city. They're putting them in everywhere. I'm just sick and tired of four-way stops. Just because somebody in, you know, a neighbor who's just moved into the neighborhood, you know, wants a four-way stop there, then they get one. So anyway, that's basically all I really wanted to say, except that, you know, I would like to see this, you know, stop signs removed, traffic lights reactivated. I would like to see the speed limit reduced to 25 miles an hour.
Roger, those are the problems. What is your solution? Who do people contact?
I would contact the Public Works Department, the Traffic and Mobility. All right, well, I hope they're listening.
They're waiting down the hallway for people to come and talk to them.
Okay, well, I hope they do, and I hope they feel the way that I do.
Okay, we're past the open forum time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to say a few words about anything? All right, thanks, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Hearing nothing else, you're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you in September.
Thank you.